Godzilla was serenely slumbering in the Roman Colosseum when Kong, emerging from nowhere, challenged him to a brawl. Once sworn enemies, they now had to unite to combat an adversary intent on invading Earth. Stay tuned for the exciting details in today's film. Deep below the surface, in a realm known as Hollow Earth, Kong was being pursued by a pack of wolves. However, they were unaware that they were stepping right into a trap Kong had cleverly set. The pack leader, lunging at Kong, instantly fell into a pit while massive boulders crashed down from both sides of the mountain. Kong seized a wolf carcass and tore it in two. This intimidating display scared off the other wolves, who fled in terror. After the skirmish, Kong returned to his cave for a thorough cleanup and a hearty meal. However, due to his negligence in dental care, one of Kong's fangs developed a cavity, causing him considerable discomfort. Kong is now the last of his kind, an ancient giant gorilla, living a lonely and monotonous life. Yet, he continues his quest to find family and peers. Elsewhere, Dr. Andrew is sharing his research findings, revealing that we know less than 5% about Hollow Earth. After massive creatures, known as Titans, inflicted heavy casualties on humanity, a solution was found: keep Kong in Hollow Earth and the reptilian youngster Godzilla on the surface. As long as they avoid each other, all will be well. Occasionally, Godzilla assists humanity by repelling other Titans, like the time he deterred a troublesome Skylar, sending it into a karmic cycle. Following that, Godzilla took the Roman Colosseum as his lair to rest. Meanwhile, Gia, after her previous movie adventures, is trying to adapt to modern human life. But while studying, she often drifts away, drawing peculiar images, prompting her teachers to inform her adoptive mother, Dr. Andrew. In the evening, Dr. Andrew realizes these drawings might signify something crucial, correlating with signals her lab has been receiving from Hollow Earth. Simultaneously, a human outpost in Hollow Earth is suddenly attacked by an unknown creature. To unravel the mystery of Gia's drawings, Dr. Andrew enlists a young black man named Bernie for his insights. If you've followed the series, you'll be familiar with Bernie's comedic antics. Amid their conversation, Andrew gets an alert on her phone: Godzilla is awakening and mobilizing. Sensing a potential threat, Kong is suffering from such an intense toothache that he needs to seek assistance from humans. At that moment, a guy named Chopper appeared. After anesthesia, he treated Kong's painful tooth and then used an airplane to extract it. Now Kong can enjoy his meals without any trouble. Meanwhile, Bernie comes to Dr. Andrew with some findings. He said after examining Gia's drawings and some documents, there seemed to be an emergency signal coming from underneath the Hollow Earth, as if something below was calling for help. Andrew discussed this with her team. Since it was all still speculation with no solid evidence, they decided to send a small group to Hollow Earth to assess the situation. Gia heard that and wanted to participate, but Andrew initially refused because he thought it was too dangerous. She didn't want to risk Gia's safety without knowing what they might encounter. But Gia's insistence made Andrew reluctantly agree. So the group prepares to depart immediately, including Dr. Andrew, Chopper, Gia, Bernie, and a pilot. When Kong recovers from his coma, they all jump into the portal, heading for the Hollow Earth. Bernie experienced this space travel for the first time and was so confused, he thought he should have stayed home. Upon arriving at Hollow Earth, their spacecraft activated camouflage mode, flying with a flock of electric birds toward a nearby research facility. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, it is reported that Godzilla is heading towards France, having just destroyed an old nuclear plant and absorbed its radiation, seemingly to increase his power for some purpose. Human drones are sent to confront Godzilla, but they are no match for him. Godzilla easily destroys them all like toys. When Andrew's team arrives at the research facility, they find it destroyed and without survivors. Andrew is confused. They've had this outpost for a long time without any problems. Why is this happening? It seems like something is changing. Chopper sifts through the debris and finds a camera, and the group also discovers a giant handprint on a stone wall. When Kong returned to his cave, he felt something was wrong. He immediately grabbed his battle axe and set out on patrol. He jumped off the cliff where his family used to live, feeling a surge of loneliness as he looked back at the familiar scene. Coming out of a waterfall, Kong was startled when he saw a small monkey with orange fur. He dropped his weapon, reached out his hand to make friends with it, but was painfully bitten by it. At that moment, several bald, vicious-looking monkeys attacked him. However, they did not realize Kong's strength as he used the little monkey to fend off the rest. When a monkey falls off a cliff, Kong extends a kinship, but is betrayed, leading to a strong kick in return. The leader panicked and tried to run away, but Kong threw a rock and fell over. Kong then captured the baby monkey and asked him to lead him to their hideout. While Andrew's team is on their way back, they encounter a strange energy blast, causing their spaceship to crash. They were forced to walk through the forest to investigate the incident. Suddenly, the pilot was swallowed whole by a strange tree, causing the rest of the crew to run away in panic. The situation was dire. The pilot left. The satellite phone lost signal, leaving them unable to contact the team on the surface. They discovered ancient ruins and were surprised to find signs of human civilization, showing that people had lived there a long time ago. On the wall is a carving of Mothra, Queen of the Titans. Gia, feeling a connection to the place, leads them to a barrier that, when opened, reveals a vast land illuminated by crystal light. One surprise after another, they ventured inside without hesitation. Meanwhile, Zuko reluctantly led Kong back to his lair, signaling Kong to drink water from a large lake, his face revealing his cunning plot. Indeed, a giant python attacked from behind, targeting Kong, while Zuko took the opportunity to run away. It is clear that he intends to use the python to destroy Kong. However, while running away, Zuko was stopped by Kong's axe, hitting her face on the ground. Some water snakes are no match for Kong. Realizing Kong's strength, Zuko resignedly continued to lead the way. At night, they rested and Kong shared his python meal with a hungry Zuko, who eagerly accepted. At this point, Zuko is able to realize Kong is not an enemy and a bond begins to form between them. On the ground, after absorbing all the radiation from the nuclear plant and still searching for more, Godzilla heads to Antarctica to hunt a Tiamat that resides at the bottom of the ocean. True to his title as Lord of the Titans, after a plasma explosion, Tiamat's body floated to the surface. Godzilla then leisurely absorbs the radiation in his lair. Upon entering the mysterious land, Andrew's team was suddenly surrounded by locals, who then led them back to their village. Inside, they are amazed to discover the paths Kong leads across the earth. Andrew recommends using eye contact as a sign of respect, although Bernie's intense stare is a little different. The tribe leader, recognizing Jaya's uniqueness, learned about her past and Awu's lineage, the last of Skull Island. The tribe does not communicate verbally. They are then taken to a room, where Gia points out the source of the distress signal they are monitoring. After some investigation, Andrew's team learned of the history of harmony between the Hollow Earth and the surface world, with the Titans being the protectors of nature and the Kong species protecting humanity. However, a cruel, cunning ape sought to overthrow this balance in an attempt to conquer the surface world. He led his tribe in a battle against the Lord of the Titans, Godzilla himself. After a monumental clash, Godzilla imprisoned the monkey species in a realm known as the Fiery Kingdom of Hollow Earth. The nefarious monkey is dubbed Scar King, who tapped into the fearsome power of an ancient titan named Shimo, also the architect of Earth's Ice Age. The local inhabitants knew Scar King's resurgence was inevitable, prompting them to signal the surface world for Godzilla's assistance. This explains why the youthful lizard-like creature has been absorbing radiation lately. It's all in preparation for the looming battle. The tribe's prophecy foretold that upon Scar King's awakening, Godzilla's ancient ally and protector, Mothra, the Queen of the Titans, would be resurrected, and the only one who can resurrect the Queen is a member of the IWI tribe from Skull Island, the young girl Gia. On their end, Zuko and Kong traversed a bridge constructed from the bones of a massive beast, reaching a land filled with flowing lava. Inside a cave, Kong was astounded to find many of his kin enslaved. When a monkey, too exhausted to continue, was subjected to physical punishment by a guard, Kong couldn't hold back and stepped in to lift his peer. This led to a confrontation, with Kong flooring a threatening guard with a single punch. Scar King, the red gorilla armed with a bone weapon, is the tyrant here. His appearance made the other monkeys kneel in fear. Witnessing Scar King's brutal treatment of his own kind, Kong roared in fury. Both parties quickly armed themselves, ready to engage in a fierce showdown. The red monkey may seem just nimble, but with his staff, he can disarm Kong and strangle him. However, Kong is no pushover and forcefully slams his adversary to the ground. Realizing he's outmatched, Scar King commands his minions to unleash Shimo, the oldest ancient titan. With a mystical crystal on his staff, Scar King controls this terrorizing titan. Shimo unleashes a beam that Kong counters with his axe, but the power is so intense it freezes his arm. At a crucial moment, Zuko howls, guiding Kong to flee. Scar King, witnessing the escape, immediately sends his followers in pursuit. He even secures Kong's abandoned axe, a bitter loss for Kong, akin to losing bait without catching a fish. Even though his arm was injured, Kong still endured the pain and ran away from Scar King's henchmen. He tries to lure them into preset traps. Finally, he reached a cliff with no way out, waiting for his minions to fall into the trap. However, they are not easily fooled and have detected and avoided traps. Just when all seems lost, a series of boulders fall from above, crushing the gorillas. It turned out that Zuko had silently followed and helped. The boy quickly helped Kong go somewhere else. They arrive at where Andrew's group is and Kong falls to the ground exhausted. Jia saw his giant friend in such a state and felt extremely sad. Kong sadly gestured to Jia, expressing his loss and despair. A scout of the Scar King team, after reprobing, hastily returned to report that he had learned the location of the gate leading to the surface world. He rode Shimo, leading his gang toward the IWI tribe's location. Meanwhile, on the surface, Godzilla, after absorbing all the radiation from Tiamat's nest, saw his energy scales turn a delicate pink, amplifying his power more than 20-fold. Chopper found Kong's arm injury to be quite severe after an examination. Coincidentally, Andrew's research team had just perfected a weapon to boost the monkey strength mechanical glove made from the hardest alloy ever known. They also administered a high-dose painkiller to Kong, allowing him to regain his senses immediately. Kong seemed to really appreciate this infinity glove. Just as they finished up, Zuko arrived with news that Scar King and his cronies were approaching. Jia signaled to Kong that they needed more help, prompting him to seek a path to the surface world to call for Godzilla's support. But the two, being sworn enemies, would usually rather fight than help each other. Kong's emergence in Egypt startled the locals immensely. He roared to draw Godzilla's attention, who, sensing his rival's presence, rushed over immediately. The tribe was preparing a ritual for Jia to awaken the Titan Queen Mothra. She climbed a tower, gently raised her hand, and a dazzling yellow light appeared, signaling the queen's immediate resurrection. Godzilla raced to confront his foe, and the poor gorilla tried to signal for calm. But the lizard, undeterred, charged in for an attack. With his new toy, Kong landed a powerful hook, knocking his adversary away, then continued with a flurry of punches, reminiscent of Iron Man hitting Hulk. Unwilling to be outdone, Godzilla prepared a plasma blast, forcing Kong to flee. Just as Godzilla was about to unleash his atomic breath, Mothra, accompanied by Jia, arrived just in time. Seeing his beloved resurrected, Godzilla must have been overjoyed. After a session of roars and clicks, it seemed the lizard had a change of heart and decided not to continue the fight with Kong. At the Hollow Earth, Scar King and his accomplices reached the dwelling of the human tribe. While everyone was at a loss on how to deal, the chapter led a flock of electric birds. Although not very powerful, their sheer number was at least enough to stall the monstrous beasts for a while. Fortunately, Godzilla and Kong arrived in time, and without delay, they plunged into battle with the enemy. Despite being smaller than Shimo, Godzilla was not intimidated. He was all about striking and smashing, truly embodying the spirit of a sovereign. Queen Mothra also gave her all, shooting webs to restrain Scar King's henchmen. Zuko even lifted a rock to hurl directly at the enemy. Seeing the situation turning dire, Scar King seized the moment to jump into the teleportation gate to escape to the surface world. Kong and the other Titans immediately pursued. This time, the gate led them all to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Having never been to the surface world before, Scar King must have been overjoyed. He forced Shimo to shoot a freezing beam into the sky, wanting to turn this place into an ice age as in history. While he was still roaring, Kong charged and punched him straight in the face. Godzilla, on the other hand, was wrestling with Shimo. The rampaging monsters filled everyone with fear. After the battle, the city was left with nothing but ruins. Scar King tried to attack with his whip, but was blocked. Godzilla then bit off the whip, and a crystal fragment attached to the whip's tail fell off. Without this crystal fragment, Scar King could no longer control Shimo. Thus, he desperately tried to retrieve it. Kong, realizing this, took the opportunity when Godzilla relieved the pressure and quickly sprang out to prevent the opponent from executing his plan. In the midst of their fierce struggle, Zuko rushed forward with an axe, delivering a blow that shattered the crystal. Enraged, Scar King grabbed Zuko, intending to attack, but Kong rushed forward, threw a punch, followed by a slap from Godzilla. No longer controlled by the Scar King, Shimo unleashed a blast of freezing energy at the evil ape, freezing it. Finally, Kong slammed him into the ground, breaking him into pieces. Thus, the enemy was reincarnated into another life, losing all chances of survival. Godzilla was exhausted after the battle, so he retreated to the Colosseum to rest. The locals now have a quality guardian. Kong and Zuko, riding Shimo, return to where their kind lives. Kong has the ability to become the new king, No longer alone, his wish to find his kind had come true. It's worth it. That's all for today's video. If you find it interesting, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel and subscribe